Okay, here we go.
We ready right now.
Leave that.
All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
How are you?
Hey, who wants to help me get this recorder out of here? I need some muscle over here.
You are listening to Blame Your Brother.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Blame Your Brother. This is a new episode. We are streaming the show live on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So come hang out with us at blameyourbother.tv. Very special show tonight. We have a special guest with us. We'll get to that in just a second. But I am one half of this duo. I am David, a.k.a. D-Brew, Voice of People, Glenn Jackson, the spiritual midget, and this gentleman sitting way over to the left tonight. It's my friend. It's my co-host. It's John.
Hey, everybody, John here, a.k.a. Mr. Groupon, Mr. PTI, the madman.
They got John Tortorella, a madman.
They do have a madman.
Okay, he's a madman.
And tonight, there are three of us, special guests. This guy in the middle here, Ender Bowen.
Hello.
So Ender is here to talk about his new upcoming album, his life as a artist, and maybe some of our back history. Who knows what stories we'll get into, but we're very glad you joined us tonight.
Thank you.
People are very excited to be here, and you know, people always need new music in their life, so that's definitely a good thing. So we're just going to start off, John, before we get into the meat and potatoes. How's your week been?
Been fairly busy. Asher, my son, he'll be 5 later this month. We decided to upgrade his little day bed to a full-size bed, so he's got his big boy bed now. And also, I went to JD. He's in the chat with us most of the time. I went to his graduation, not this past Saturday, but the previous Saturday. And if we stay where we live,
oh God, here we go.
Asher will be graduating from that same school. And there's some of the
just say the school. Just say it.
Antioch High.
Okay.
I just was not.
All you Nashville people, you know what we're talking about.
I'm not impressed with the school, and after that, it wasn't a debacle, but just the way the decisions that were made were just did not give me a lot of faith in the people running in the school. So we've been for the past week and a half. We've been looking around. And maybe looking to move, and actually got a pre-approval from my mortgage company, so that's good.
Where are you looking?
Looking at Spring Hill.
Where you come on down, baby. That'd make my life easier.
Columbia, and also Rutherford County.
Okay.
So,
well, it's an exciting time getting a new house for sure. I mean, as me and Ender over here can probably tell you the last few years, you know, it's something different. So, well, there you go. Good. So your kid's growing up and you're ready to make money moves to get them into a good school system.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, it was a good weekend. It was Memorial Day. I'm sorry. It was Memorial Day. It was nice. Went out, went to the lake house, but it was too cold to go out on the water. So we just kind of, spent time just hanging out. Hit the swimming pool up and, just had a good time, just relaxing. Extra day off from work is always nice, and that's that. So, no big stories to tell this week, I'm sure, but we have more impressive feats to discuss here with Ender Bowen. So, Ender, what are we here talking about today?
Well, I have a new album coming out later this year. It's called The Art of Tactful Procrastination. And
is that why it's coming out later this year?
Yes, you have to wait for it.
Yes, okay.
You have to wait for it to drop. And we've been waiting for a good 6 or 7 years already as it is, but I thought, why not wait a little bit longer,
Now,
the audience all jacked up.
You've been working on this album for, is that true, 6 or 7 years?
Since 2014, yeah.
Wow, okay.
And I actually, believe it or not, I had the title for it all the way back in 2006.
So what is tactful procrastination, if you had to define it?
I don't know.
He'll tell you later.
Planning ahead.
It's kind of like if you ask Oasis what Wonderwall's about, they're like, we don't know.
It's just a bloody no. Blah,
it's a bunch of words I put together. So, okay, so people don't know, this album you're responsible for All of it.
I am responsible for it. That's a way to say it.
For better, for worse. So when me and
He's blamed for it.
well, yeah, don't blame your brother. Blame
Blame your other.
So me and John were in a band for years, and there is that nice safety net of if things aren't going well,
And you can blame someone else.
you can blame someone. You can also find inspiration from other people. I'm like, if I wasn't hitting the songs, Lee, our bass player, or John would come in and write a song or help with a song. You're flying solo on this. How does that work? I mean, where do your ideas come from? How do you write songs?
Well, a lot of it, when I sat down to write it, I didn't even really know what I was going to do. And then, I don't know, just being a new parent and raising kids, the whole album is about the fear of not realizing your dreams. So it just kind of all came together that way, especially, not realizing your dreams or the struggle to reach your passions when, especially when you have more adult responsibilities.
For sure.
And how that changes what you do and how you do it and how do you balance those things and how do you get in front of people and the ridiculous things you have to do to get attention.
Yeah, I mean, so you're definitely look the part of the rock star. So that's part of the aura. That's part of the setup. So where did you? I know people are going to probably say David Bowie, but where did you find your inspiration from?
Lord, David Bowie. I know someone's going to say a little bit of Bono.
Oh, well, of course.
Yeah. Some other people that don't necessarily do, like Depeche Mode and Duran Duran. And I like that whole 80s and 90s vibe and all that kind of stuff. I just think it's very, sexy.
So you've listed who kind of makes up who you are. Who makes up the album? Like what are three bands if someone's listening and they're like, what is this guy about musically? Who cares what the guy looks like? Even though that is part of the musical journey, whether people want to say it or not. But what are three bands you would say, hey, if you like these guys, you're going to like this?
3.
5. 10.
5.
I mean, whatever you.
I'll do it. Let's split it. Let's do 4.
Okay, 4.
I can count to 4, so it's good.
4.
1. U2.
Okay, that's. You should have done that too, but okay. Number 1's U2. All right.
Sure. Can I change my
So
answer?
you can do whatever you want.
2. Depeche Mode.
Okay.
3. Garbage.
All right.
4. Muse.
All right. So
And if I had a 5, Pumpkins.
you could. I said you could have as many as you want. You could have had 10.
We could be doing this all day long.
We could just list.
I'm a potpourri of.
A musical artist.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So obviously, if we know you two, obviously very near and dear to your heart, and all the other bands are also as well. But so the album is coming out. What difficulties did you have during the recording of it? I mean, so like I said, it took you years. Was that more of a finding the right tone, finding the right lyrics, finding?
You go through a lot of phases, right?
Yeah.
So, especially the longer it goes, the more like weird phases of your life you go through.
For sure.
So, the hardest part was figuring out. I knew what I wanted to say. The hardest part was figuring out how to say what I wanted to say. The music wasn't that difficult. Playing it and keeping everything in tune and having the time to do it was the really hard thing because, again, kids, family, all that kind of stuff. So trying to put that all together and also trying to teach myself and learn how to promote myself and coming up with all the it's a weird I kind of feel like there's an underlying sense of paranoia in the album, and I kind of wanted to. I mean, the whole reason I'm doing this is because if the album's about the struggle to realize your dreams, then what I wanted to be as a teenager was a in-your-face, weird-looking rock star. So I just feel the album was represented by that. Plus, it's a good excuse to look like an idiot. So
Now, we talk about going out into the world, and I want to play a track off of the album real soon. But you're fine going out looking the way you look. Like you said, you came here in John's neighborhood, which is a fairly just decent suburban neighborhood.
yes, absolutely.
And you were getting some looks. Like, is you ever paranoid about the looks, or do you embrace it? You want the looks?
I'm half and half.
Yeah.
I want the looks, but I don't. it's like zombies coming for your brains. It's very hard to describe, especially when you don't expect it.
Yeah,
And I guess it's my fault. I should expect it looking like this.
Oh, what are you doing? Yeah, I mean, that would be a common question people would ask you.
And you say that about looking. Hold on, I got something for you.
Here we go. So he's reaching into some type of bag.
So I do these.
Oh, wow, look at this.
These. If you can get that open.
Let's see here.
One
So we
for
got,
you and one for you.
We got some now, these are glasses. These are like
Yes.
not sunglasses, though. These are
No,
like,
they're. I call them
okay.
art
I gotcha.
shades.
I gotcha. They say blame on them, which is kind of
Yeah,
weird.
blamer.
Blame. It's getting weird. Used to the writing on it.
Yes.
Now you wear glasses with one. How
I do, and I do that because, full disclosure, it's hard to do this all the time. So I just to keep up the weird
gotcha.
thing. But the cool thing is I can design them all kinds of different ways
That's a good idea.
and sell them.
So John, what do you-
EnderBowenStore.com.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll customize your shades
Check
for
that
you.
out. Now, John, what do you think of the vision right now? As you're looking now,
pretty
people
weird.
people are listening only.
It almost looks 3D in a way.
We're wearing these are clear glasses, but on the left side it says "Blamer" written in red on it. So it's alternate. It's kind of like messing with reality a little bit because you're like everything I'm looking at through my left eye, which is you guys.
That's actually kind of very apropos.
There you go.
I like that.
I wonder if like this is how Deadshot feels.
From comic books. There you go. Okay, well let's listen to a bit of a track
Okay, these are coming off.
from the album. I'll wear mine the whole show. Okay, so you just want to start off with some kind of never? Is that good?
Yeah,
I mean, we
yeah.
obviously probably won't listen to the whole thing, but let's listen to kind of the vibe of the song. So here we go.
Do whatever you want.
I like that.
Definitely hear the Depeche Mode right there.
There you go. Nice. And this is all you.
Yes.
Okay. Gotta stress that.
My turn to scream.
I like that. All right, that's good. Oh, nice. That.
When the story is told of mine finer deeds,
Getting a little David Bowie right there.
I guess going nowhere.
Channeling a lot of Michael Hutchins on this one.
Yes. Right there, yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Find my feet beyond the dead end street. There's a light gonna show you what tomorrow looks like. Oh, I know time gets away from me.
Getting a little Cure too.
Very nice, very nice. So we'll kind of play a little bit. So let's talk about this track.
Sure.
Now, how many instruments are on this one? Just, I mean, you probably don't, but
73.
73. Obviously, you have a lot going on there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you record vocals? No, let's describe your recording process. This is done in your house, right?
Yes.
Using just Pro Tools, GarageBand, Logic. Okay. So how do you record good vocals in a house? You have your own. You have your own space. I'm assuming.
This actually, the vocals for this, for most of this stuff, I actually went into the off. I have a day job. I went into the office that I actually work at, and I recorded the vocals there because it's so. I can record a lot of the stuff for the album even when the kids are in bed because I can direct connect in.
Yes.
But singing vocals, especially the way I sing, I can sometimes belt things out. I don't know as I did it so much on this one, but I went into the actual office where I work and I recorded the vocals
Really?
there. Yeah.
Oh, wow,
and
that's cool.
And I'm not a great singer, so it's take after take after take after take after take, and then splicing it all up to get the best performance. I mean, if you saw what it looked like, you'd be like, "Oh my god, this is awful." And it is awful. It's
Yes.
very time consuming and tedious.
Well, I wouldn't say awful, but I know you're very meticulous when you do things.
Mm-hmm.
You're like the opposite of me. Like you are all like if you are Depeche Mode, I am the Ramones. You know, I'm just like, let's turn it in, let's play, and let's just get.
No,
the
but
heck
that's
out
what
of it.
I appreciate that a lot, because I like that there's a rawness to your sensibility.
Right. Yeah.
It's like get up and play, make the noise, and the noise is what the noise is.
Right.
Whereas me, and I'm not saying I don't ever do that, but like especially if you're gonna put it on record, I get very. It almost snowballs, especially the longer it goes.
Yes.
The more you're like, well, I've spent all this time on this song, or on this album, so I need to really make it worth my while. It can't just be raw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand.
So it can mess with your head that way too, I think. So
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you know, you got to know. That's why a good director has a person that edits the film for him. The director doesn't edit the film, and sometimes I think there is an advantage. There's some advantages, obviously, to recording at home. Cost. You get to control the process. No one's telling you what to do. But
although I would actually love to work with a producer, even someone who says they're a producer and doesn't even know.
John's a producer. But right, John. No, but yes, a producer can sometimes rein in the madness. Like, hey, no, we're good. You don't need another vocal take. Like so there's definitely highs and lows to it. And in this day and age we're in, we're not in the heyday of music anymore. Everyone's starting to do it like this. You know, everyone's making their own music. It's a whole SoundCloud genre of music where all these people became superstars.
How Billie Eilish.
Yes, Billie Eilish, Post Malone.
You
know, Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Weeknd.
All those guys pretty much said, I'm just going to do things on my own, and now that's where we're at. And I kind of find that refreshing. I mean, it's nice to look back at Led Zeppelin and The Who and the Beatles and go, oh, those guys were in the studio and they were nailing it down. But there's also it's kind of cool at the same time, though, that these younger people are doing it on their own, you know.
At the same time, it makes it hard to find it special.
Yeah.
I'm not wording that right. But
no, but I mean, you are.
I know what you mean,
like those bands up even through maybe towards the end of the 90s, you had to be like uplifted into that world. And now, you know, people even like me can be a part of that world. And I think in a way it takes some of the specialness away from it. So you have to work extra hard to not to be special, but to kind of give people the sense that there's something special about what you're doing. It's not just, you know, I'm just not some dude in a house doing this. I am, but how do I convince you that I'm not?
No, yes. Like, you could probably hang out with Post Malone. And you know, I mean, if you go to this one's concert, there's a chance you could. Led Zeppelin, there was no chance you were hanging out with those dudes. Like, everything you read about them became the myth of the band, whether it was true or not. But like you said, if you're some Joe Blow living in a house with kids and a family, and that's how people see you, it cuts off some of the rock star mystique.
It does, but at the same time, I mean, even with like part of this isn't really to create a mystique. It's to kind of, in a way, kind of spoof the idea of, you know, how much, because there's so many of these people doing this, getting the attention for it, and all of that, and also just, you know, I don't know, making fun of myself a little bit, but nobody's gonna know nobody's gonna know that level.
Yeah, that's true.
That part's for me.
Well, that's good. I mean, so you got to have some of it for yourself.
Right.
But yes, the irony is like, yes, it's ironic to myself a bit, but no one's gonna see that. But you know, you gotta have your own inside jokes and laugh at your own things.
I mean, at the end of the day, I just basically decided if I'm gonna do this and put this much time and effort and money into it, then I'm at the very least I'm gonna have fun doing it.
Right.
So, you know, all my stuff at the end of the day is about joy, finding joy in places. So, if people don't necessarily get the music on that level, but they are entertained by what I'm doing nonetheless, I'm really happy about that. I couldn't really ask for anything more.
You know, people that I've always said you can sense in music. I mean, I can. I think most people can. When the artist is being true to themselves and trying to make music that people like, and then you have commercial people that go out and try to make hits. You know, and I've always connected to the people that I know are making albums they want to make, you know, and I think there's even in the local band scene, there were certain bands that were trying to make it, and they were with a certain sound of the time, and there were other bands that were just up there playing to have fun. And I always wanted to be at the shows where they're having fun, you know. And that's not to say, like you say, there's not professionalism in having fun, but there's still got to be that sense of joy to your music. Without it, what do you do? I mean, you might as well go work a cubicle job at that point if you're just chasing something to be successful and not finding joy in it. And so you kind of speak of that. I mean, it's kind of the middle-age crisis we all get into. You're at a job somewhere going, okay, well, I mean, I've got to do this now because I'm halfway through the process. But if I could go back, I would do something different. So it's still refreshing to see people. You meet people and they're just like, yeah, I was at a 9-to-5 and I just quit one day and I started doing, like my brother-in-law Corey was like, I didn't want to work in an office anymore, so I just started working for myself, and that's refreshing to hear. Like a lot of us don't have some of us just aren't going to do that.
I'm a big fan of the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah,
so
well, that's good. Now let's talk about Some Kind of Never. What are the themes of that song that we just heard?
It's mainly about not getting out of your own way. How sometimes you can be your own worst critic. You can be the thing that holds you back the most. Kind of being your own enemy, and so you never get anything accomplished. You never get anything done. The whole album talks about all these different, like from jealousy to, the things you perceive as being in your way, the things that are in your way, and how do you deal with all this stuff. And that I think is just one of them where a lot of it is yourself. Yeah. And, I'm 100% guilty of that. There's a reason it took I probably didn't need to take 6 or 7 years to make this album, but
something simple as blogging. I'm like, all right, I'm going to blog. And then after like a month, I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. Like, because you get in your own way. Like, I don't want to do this, or it's going to take too much time, or I just don't have the energy. And you can make 1,000 excuses why you're not. It's a lie I tell my kids. You can tell me 1,000 ways you can't do it, and then you've already not done it because you've already created the excuse, And I think people really need to embrace that in life, which, it's tough. I mean, like say you have kids, you have a job, you have a wife, you have friends, you have obligations, and it can be tough, but if you want to do it, you'll get it done. So, okay. So Glenda in the chat says, loving the music. She really liked the song.
Thank you, Glenda.
Robin says, yes, really good music. And then
thank you, Robin.
Somebody named Emily Steele said, loved watching you play, Dave. So whoever that is. Yeah. Okay, so let's get to another track. This one's called "Still No Closer to Tomorrow." Is that the fourth? Okay,
yeah,
sure. Kind of cut off on me a little bit. All right, we get John's comments on his vibes here. John,
already it sounds a little Cure-ish starting out.
John loves the Cure, man.
I do love the Cure.
I love the Cure too.
They became best friends that day.
Nobody knows your name. Surely somebody should know by now.
I like that line. It's good.
Nobody's left to blame. Throwing rocks at every window.
I love those double vocals.
Yeah.
Or however many there are.
There's your Bono right there.
A nice soaring, yeah, kind of.
Well, there's no one else behind you. Carry on what you left undone. Do you remember yesterday?
I told you I love this chorus. I think it's really good.
Ooh, yeah, I like that third.
Yeah. I listened to this. Ender had sent me the album a couple weeks ago. I remember saying I really love that track. I think that chorus it's great. I like where it goes, the soaring. It's really good. That's a nice one. So let's talk about that one. What's going on that one here? Still no closer to tomorrow.
I mean, it's really about how you have these goals and like the songs, promises you make to yourself, promises you make to your friends at the time. I'm going to be this, or I'm going to become that, or whatever. And the older you get, and you don't have that accomplished yet, it feels like you know, it feels like time keeps passing, but that tomorrow that you kept on promising yourself and promising others and whatever just isn't coming. Like, it just doesn't feel like you're any closer to it.
Yeah.
It feels like sometimes it feels like you're further away. And to me, this song is kind of the cornerstone of the album. Like, it almost literally explains what the whole album is about.
It feels like it's almost like a concept album.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a concept album. It really is about exactly what I said it was. It's about those fears and the struggle. It's about legacy. Like, who are you if you don't have one? Especially now when everyone's struggling for attention on social media. You know, who do you become? So,
how? So when you're promoting this, how has that been different now that social media has really changed the way you have to promote your album? You have to really get into these social media different platforms and figure them out, because they're all different. I mean, Instagram's different than Twitter. Twitter's different than Facebook. There's different groups of people. How did you navigate that? What are some ways you were able to figure that out, or figuring it out?
Well, I'm very much a visual person, and you know, I go back to like old school, you know, vinyls and CDs and stuff. Like, I have nothing against, you know, digital delivery of music. I think it's a good thing we can access it, but the downside is like that visual the booklets, you know, the visual representation of everything. So I put a lot of work and time into, you know, the artwork that goes around this stuff. But so I think in a lot of ways, even though I'm relatively new to Instagram, I think Instagram really speaks to that, even though it's a younger crowd.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're forced to be visual. And I'm not saying anything I'm necessarily doing is working. I'm still learning it. But I kind of strayed away from Twitter a little bit, because it's just doesn't really do what I need it to do. And I feel like it's too crowded there. Whereas Instagram, I'm getting a little traction. Facebook, I mean, I'm doing ads on Facebook. And, you know, part of why I'm dressing like this is, you know, if you're scrolling on the screen, you're going to stop and go, what is that? And then, at the end of that, it's a matter of, okay, well, does the performance I'm doing, or the thing that I'm doing, does it extend, or does it keep the promise of what you felt you were going to see when you stopped scrolling? So I'm still figuring those out and whatnot, but I mean, I'm getting people on my mail list, I'm getting people on my Facebook page, so those things are just gradually, it's a really slow burn, but that's part of why the album doesn't come out until a little bit later in the fall. I mean, I've got singles leading up to it, but yeah.
Well, so obviously when you present yourself this way, you're presenting yourself in a polarizing manner. I mean, like you say, people are going to scroll and they're going to stop, and they're either going to they're going to like it, or they're going to hate it.
Oh, and then when they hate it, they definitely
they're going to let you know.
So. Yeah.
More so than if people like it. You know, I mean, most people will hit that thumbs up, but I find that most people will definitely comment.
They'll definitely comment if it's negative.
Yes.
They will comment if it really touched them.
Yes,
and that's really good,
Right.
because when I see that and I see that it touched somebody, I'm like, yes, that's what I want it to do at the end of the day. But like the people that are, I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, and so the negative, I've heard all the negative comments. Now I just want creative ones.
Yes.
So like, I don't know if you saw, I think you did, the T-shirts.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that. So
Okay.
how you've taken the negative comments and kind of used, like, any press is good press, but you've taken the negative ones and kind of done something with it.
So what I've done with the negative comments is I've created this whole line of T-shirts called hashtag F the Haters.
That's good.
And basically the idea is when I get really nasty comments, I take those comments and I turn them into a T-shirt. So one of them was sounds like a dying cat playing a kazoo. And I'm like, that's a T-shirt.
Now look, I mean, I hate
It's
the
very
haters, but it's
creative.
pretty funny. I mean,
and then there was better than boring. I like that one.
that's a good
T-shirt.
one. That's a tagline for this podcast.
yeah.
I might have to steal.
Take it. Not the worst thing I've ever heard. Absolute trash was one. I'm like, these are T-shirts. So I just made T-shirts out of them.
Not the worst thing I've ever heard is such. It's almost the worst insult there is, because, like you said, I'd rather
you're not good enough to be the worst.
Yeah, it's almost like I was so close.
I know it's like, it's not quite there. It's almost there,
Yeah.
but I think that's hilarious that you've taken these and don't get me wrong, we get negative comments. I always read them always make art out of them.
Sometimes there's going to be criticism. I mean, constructive stuff.
Yes,
in there
constructive.
too.
I'm not. I'm talking about one guy heard a podcast and said, "This is the worst thing I've ever heard." You guys call this a show. It's and I put that up as like for a while, like
it's a banner. It's like a
banner. Yeah. I put that quote up there and quoted it and said, "Here you go." You know, and like you said, people are more inclined if they hear something is that bad, quote unquote. A lot of them are going to check it out.
It's the train wreck scenario.
It's the ones where people are like, listen, I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not my thing. And you're like, well, I can't do much with that because that's not really constructive.
I do respond to those people though too. Like even some of the ones. So some of the people that'll, if they're mean to, sometimes I just go, okay, well, thank you for, like, if I can't use it for a T-shirt, I'll just go, thank you for taking the time to listen. And other people, like, just always take the high road. And then other people that, when they hit me with one that I'm like, oh, that's a T-shirt, I actually reply, that's a T-shirt, and then I reply with a link to that T-shirt.
Nice.
So, you know, my goal is, my real goal is, like, you know, a year or two from now, if people are still doing that, and I have a fan base, and I actually have my own fans commenting, hey, Ender, that's a T-shirt.
There you go.
Then I know I've done something right.
Tagline.
But yeah.
Yeah, we used to be on the radio show with my brother-in-law, and we would get emails sent to us. The director would send us the emails
During the show?
It was usually the next, because we taped on like Saturday morning and
that's
early.
right, that's right.
But people listen, and they would send us, the director would send us these emails like of negative comments, like, you guys are trash, I hate this show, here's the reasons why. And I would write these people back, like, not mean, just like, hey, what could we, and every one of them I found.
You can win a lot of people.
You win a lot of them over, and some of them became our most regular listeners after that. And
I've got one or two of those.
Because when you humanize the person, once again, this is all on a screen. They don't think, really, they're not thinking this is a real person. I may be really, I mean, hurting their feelings. Some people can't take it, but sometimes when you humanize it and go, hey, I'm a person, I've put time into this, sometimes they'll take a step back and go, well, let me listen to it again.
Well, the other part of that is part of the joy aspect of it. A lot of these people are either A, jealous, B, for whatever reason. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying for whatever reason it is, they didn't succeed at something, or they weren't willing to. I'm not judging that. It's more, you know, that, or they aren't getting the attention they want in their life. So I think sometimes if you can keep your head above water and you can respond to those people and just be like, hey, you know, I'm sorry I didn't like it. Thank you for taking the time. Sometimes they really appreciate that you just acknowledge their existence.
100%.
And to me, you know, if I'm really going to be all about what I say when I'm like talking about inspiring joy and spreading joy and all that other kind of stuff, at the end of the day, I have to be responding to those comments and acknowledging these people's existence, because I think in a lot of cases that's really just all they want.
Yes.
And it's not a bad thing. I mean, I don't know what your life is, but if there's some way I can bring a little bit of joy to your life, I'm going to try to.
Yeah.
You know.
No, it is. I mean, like you said, a lot of people are. I actually, when I left my house, my older son was making fun of my younger son. I just went, why are you doing that?
They don't do that.
I mean, it's like you're doing that because you want to feel better about yourself. But like you said, sometimes there is this internal struggle with people where they're like, if I can make them feel bad, I'll feel good. And as you get older,
Relative goodness.
That's like bullies. I mean, that's all
right.
bullies really are.
Like, it never makes you feel whole. Never. There's never been an instance where you're like, let me tear this person down, I'll feel good. It may temporarily make you feel good, but it doesn't erase the pain you're suffering.
Anytime I've ever done that, like, it's been a long time, but anytime I ever did that, I felt awful afterwards.
Usually,
because it's just like, why? That's not the person I want to be. Like,
Right.
I don't want to.
Right.
I'm not. You know, they're not my problem. I'm my problem.
Yes, right, yes. Like, and age does help. I mean, when I was younger, I would go after people, and John knows, I would go after people with a passion. I would want it to destroy them. But with age and some wisdom comes, you're like, that's not really, it's really just keeping me down where I'm at, you know, and that's not our goal as people, is to rise up.
It's to rise up and bring other people with you.
Yep. So,
I think.
All right, let's get this last one you sent me here. It's called Bleeding Heart, and we're going to check this track out, and then we're going to jump into our Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
So we're ready to do that. But this is called Bleeding Heart. I really like this track. I remember this. I remember telling you this is one of my favorite ones. So,
I think I remember that, yeah.
So here we go. See, that guitar is dope right there, dude. I like the multiple track, too. I love that.
What's that broken beat? Faster than your footsteps when you tiptoe
Definitely some garbage vibes
yeah.
right here for sure. But I
Yeah.
absolutely, the sound of this is amazing.
I love how that normally, like, when the start of the song, it just kind of keeps going upward.
Right, yeah.
But you have that, there's like a drastic
drop out.
step
Yes.
down.
That's why.
That's
Yeah,
really cool.
It's really, it's not. I love the guitar tone. I don't know what you're playing there, but it's fantastic.
The riffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of guitar is that? Do you know? Do you remember?
I want to say I did this on the Washburn, the Oscar Schmidt.
Yeah.
Because it was either that or the I have a Fender Squiire
Okay.
Strat, so it was one of the two. I don't have a lot in terms of instruments, unfortunately. A lot of what I do is finding some decent effects and
Yeah. Well, I mean that's. But your vocals are fantastic. I know you said you're not a very good vocalist, but I would disagree with you on that.
you weren't there while I was.
But I mean, the
doing
finished
it.
product is amazing. Dude, you're singing harmonies over top of yourself. It's amazing, dude. It's like I say, you see that about yourself, but I would never. If someone's like, "Yo, describe Ender's weaknesses," vocalist would be way down on the list. I don't know really what.
Well, I appreciate that.
I don't know what weaknesses would be, but the guitar tone is amazing. The instrumentation is great. The vocals are great. So I dig it. Yeah, this is something. Someone already said 90s feel, but this one also has kind of like that 90s feel.
This one to me feels very much like Pumpkins mixed with Garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel
Yeah,
that.
I was channeling a little bit of Ava Adore
Okay, yeah.
on this a little bit, especially in
yeah.
the solo.
Is that coming up?
Yeah, right here.
It's nice. Beautiful.
Yeah, I was happy with that. It was the mix actually. The guy who mixed it, his name is Andrew Lindsay, Andrew Aurora Productions. Thank
There you
you.
go. All right.
And he actually mixed the whole album because I just could not get it
Yeah.
to mix, and I'm not. I can make an okay mix, but to make these songs pop wasn't gonna happen. And he did it. And this and another song on the album called Outside didn't really have. I liked them, of course, but I didn't have a lot of high expectations of. And then when he came back with those mixes, I went,
Yeah.
but those are
Well,
really
he
good.
Did it. Well, he did.
Those are really good mixes that really brought out what needs to be in those songs. So
What's his name again? Give him another. plug.
Andrew Lindsay, Andrew Aurora Productions.
Love it. He did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
So those are just 3 tracks off the upcoming album. And I know people are, everybody in the chat's loving it. So, if that's just kind of a
Thank you, by
nice
the way,
poll,
everybody.
they're going to love it. So now this is not your debut album, but we today have figured we're going to do the Mount Rushmore of debut albums because nothing is more important to a band than a good.
Sorry.
Oh yes, Emily said, "Ender, do you know where we put the extra pull-ups
Yeah.
to pull you out of this?
To pull me out of this
You're in
whole-
the rock star moment, and here
I
we
was
go.
so into it.
Where
yeah.
are the extra pull-ups at, Ender?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know
He
where she
doesn't.
put them.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Emily. I don't know where you put them.
Sorry, can't help you. Okay, so debut albums.
Back to one.
Back to debut. So yeah, debut albums, very important to a band. Can make a band. There's many we're going to come across. So we need to figure out the order we're doing this in. So we can do. It's going to be snake draft this time. So that means I think we should go John, Ender, me, Ender, John. So
Yeah.
it'll
We're,
go.
so
it
we're going to do
easier.
all alternate. We're not going to do all 4.
Yeah, we'll do
once.
1,
Okay, no, I like
2,
that. I like
3,
that.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, back and forth. So,
Yeah.
so John, I know you said you kind of struggled with this a little bit, so it's going to be interesting to see. I probably have a couple of yours on the list, but I have a lot, so I'm trying not to steal. I already know you're number 1. It would have been
Well,
on
we
my
only,
list.
we only have 4, right?
Only 4, yes.
Okay, I was going to say.
So-
or else I'm counting the heads on Mount Rushmore wrong.
All right, John.
Actually, I'm not going to use my number 1 is still on my list, but I'm not going to use it.
Are
as my
these
number
supposed to
1.
be in a particular order, or does it really matter?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, good, because
The one I'm going to use for my number 1 is Weezer Blue Album.
Damn it, John.
that's a good one.
That was probably my number 1.
That was one of my first CDs ever.
So Weezer Blue Album, classic.
I mean, Buddy Holly, Say It Ain't So, Undone.
Surf
No one
Likes
else.
America.
Yeah.
My name is Jonas.
My name is Jonas. Undone, I played in a band. My first band, we played that song
Yeah.
a lot.
Only
No
in-
one else is probably.
It's great.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a great pop song.
World is turning,
Yeah.
lift me here. I mean, yeah, it's
They really, literally, the way that was produced too, sounded like it was in a garage.
Yes.
That was the epitome of the garage band sound. to
And
me.
I mean that I want a girl that will laugh like for no one else.
Yeah.
I just that line hits me, and just
Mhm.
yeah.
Which is fun because River said it's a jealous man's anthem toward a girl, and it is, but it's kicking. Dude, that album's perfect. That is a perfect. If Pitchfork has their perfect albums, that is one of my perfect 10 albums.
I would say yes, front to back.
Yes, and it's sad because I fell in love with Weezer off this and Pinkerton and Green, even Maladroit, and then the band they've become today. I'm like, I don't even know who they are anymore. They're not that band anymore, but.
They look like they're having fun though.
That's they are. It's not for me anymore.
Who would have
There's
thought?
actually a Saturday Night Live skit about that.
Yeah, I know it was about.
Who would have thought that bands like them and Green Day would become, like the stalwart veterans that we look up to of rock? Like we just never.
No, never. I thought Weezer would be like a Pavement type band, like an indie band that like indie kids like. But now they're universal. Everyone knows who they are. So. It's a good one, John. You stole it. So I'm going to steal yours. So I hope you like that.
That stinks.
All right, Ender, you are up. You've got
okay,
a
so I brought some visual
Yeah,
representations.
Here we go. So what is Ender's first selection? It is a little band from England. Go ahead. I'll let you introduce
This is Definitely Maybe by Oasis. Oasis is probably one of my favorite all-time bands. I can't describe why. It's just their sound. And I picked this album because I was not big into grunge. I didn't have a problem with it. It just wasn't my thing. As you can tell by the sound of my music, I tend to be more like colors and textures and whatever. Very pop sort of mind. And when I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing the first time I heard Live Forever. And it's because that song, when I heard it, didn't sound like anything happening at the time.
It's
and
great.
it blew my mind. That song still comes on. I'm like, I ain't changing the station. This thing takes me right back there.
Such
and a
good
great album. Rock and Roll Star.
Yeah.
Cigarettes and Alcohol.
Yes. Want to Live Forever?
Columbia. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great. It's fantastic. It's a great choice. So you're number one, Oasis. Definitely maybe. Okay. Well, I get two choices, thank God, because I've got so many I want to get on here. So should I grab John's? I'm not. I'm going to leave John. I know what John's number 2 is. I think it would be unfair. I do believe it's a strong album, but it will be represented by John. I'm going to go different from you guys. You went rock. I'm going rap, hip hop. Taurus B.I.G. Ready to Die. I mean, this is a all-time classic rap album. I mean, my God.
A little prophetic.
Yeah, it is. But starts off with the song starts off with the whole beginning of his life. You hear a heartbeat in the womb, and then it goes through his whole life. You got Juicy, you got Big Papa, you got Give Me One More Chance, you've got, all of them are on there.
Papa.
I mean, that's such a great song. And that really, he's my greatest MC of all time. And on this album showed why. I mean, he's got the voice. He had the production by Puff Daddy at the time. It's just a classic album. And I own a Weezer Blue on vinyl, and I definitely own B.I.G. on vinyl. I actually don't own the Oasis one. I'll have to make that. If I was going to get one Oasis album,
got all their stuff on vinyl.
I'd probably get the
What's the Story?
Yeah, but still, we're counting, we're counting hairs at this point. So that's my first one, Taurus B.I.G. And then on my second one, I'm gonna have to go with, one of my favorite bands, the Ramones. Ramones, self-titled Ramones.
Good choice.
I mean, just if there was a band that changed, if the Beatles changed rock and roll in the '60s. Ramones changed it in the late 70s. The entire punk movement is based off this album.
Blitzkrieg Bop.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that too, because I was actually, one of my albums was going to be Pleasure Principle by Gary Newman.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because Cars was, apparently that was one of the first songs I ever heard.
Really? Okay.
According to my mother, and I used to sing it all the time, and my son does the same thing.
Yeah.
But it was, I feel like Cars was to that generation and like that new wave sort of aesthetic what Smells Like Teen Spirit was for grunge 10 years later.
Yeah.
I think that song kicked off that whole, I'm not saying it wasn't happening already, but alternative and grunge was happening already too before Nirvana.
For sure. Right.
It's just Nirvana and that was going to happen eventually. There was this whole movement.
Oh yeah, it was all building up.
Somebody had to hit that.
Yeah, for sure they did. But yeah, you got Crit and Hop, Now I Want to Sniff Some Glue, We're a Happy Family. They're just all infectious tracks. They're 3 minutes, they're perfect, they're in and out, and I just think
and they're actually very poppy.
They're actually like bubblegum pop.
They are.
With distortion. Which,
yes.
If you ask John, that was my whole MO in a band. That was every song I wanted to be the Ramones or Nirvana. It was pretty much like, can I make songs
There's
in that
nothing
vein?
wrong with pop. I used to hate pop instincts, and now I'm like, well, but pop is actually great.
That is really great when it's done
Yeah.
right. So that's it. All right, Ender, you're back up. You're number 2 on the Mount Rushmore. We've got some good ones so far. We're going to see where it continues to go. Here we go. His number 2.
Oh,
Hot Fuss by The Killers.
Had it on my list. So
Did
Same
you?
here.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal it from
No,
you
you
guys.
didn't steal it. I've got a bunch, but I knew you would probably have that one. Man, what an album. I mean, my God.
That album came along
Yeah.
when I so needed
Yeah.
an album like that to come along. Yeah, that was life changing. I took the first concert my wife and I went to when we had first met was a Killers concert. It was right after
Okay.
Sam's Town, but like we both just love this album.
I mean, I just think that
That bass line is very Duran Duran.
I mean, yeah, they have elements of that, but my
Yeah.
God, those songs, you want more pop songs. Those are like
Every
really
single one.
Oh,
great,
yeah.
great hooks, great stories, great everything. Of course, you know. They
Great
have-
production too.
Yes.
Like I can't really explain. Almost like he's on a bullhorn shouting into
Yes.
Vegas off the top of a
Yeah,
limo.
it is. It's weird, but yeah, that's cemented
It's the
them.
imagery I get.
They were cemented after that album. They, you know, and they go on to make great other albums. That's the
Yeah.
great thing. They could have been a one-hit wonder. Sometimes your album's too good, you're in trouble. But
You have this, they call it the sophomore curse.
right,
yeah.
but not them.
Sam's Town was
Yeah.
mind-boggling.
His Brendan Flowers said his favorite song is the first hit off of the second album because it proved that
When you were young.
when you were young.
Yeah,
Great tune.
I used to have I had an iPod and I would hook it up to my computer and it would tell me like which song you'd played the most. And for a long time it was when we were young.
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to that over and over. These Bones. That's off a different album, but still, that's
Yeah.
such a good. Yes, that's a
We
great
could
album.
probably have a whole long podcast of talking about these kinds of things.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we could. All right, John, go ahead and say
All
Counting
right,
Crows.
Counting Crows.
Yep, I knew it.
August and everything after. I can listen to this.
So
The
good.
couple of dark horses that weren't my favorite at different times was maybe Ghost Town and Perfect Blue Buildings, but they're still good songs. And so, yeah, I just
Yeah, Ghost Train's my least favorite track on the album, but it's still. I
Yeah.
mean, my God, that album, Mr. Jones, is one of my favorite songs ever written. I mean, when I
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about a song where I'm like, oh, I identify with that song. Like when he used to sing those words, I went, oh yeah, that's
I
you know.
didn't at first, but there was when he did the Unplugged, and I mean it was a completely different song,
Yeah, he does a lot.
and I was like, whoa, okay, yeah.
Man, you guys are going to hate me. I hate the Counting Crows.
That's all right. I mean, we
okay.
get that a lot from other other podcasts of music. Like, why do you guys like those? That's something me and John have always
Emily feels the same way.
since we've known each other. That was one of our first things. We're like, this album is, you know, me and John don't necessarily like all the same albums, but our love of Counting Crows is like we
know
could
what
do
I-
a Counting Crows podcast.
What I
We so
love
much.
about that, though, is I think I was having a little conversation with somebody who commented on one of my things yesterday where they were saying, this is trash and blah, 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 blah. And I can't believe anybody would be saying that they appreciate it. I'm like, everyone's different, you know?
Right.
Like, we were talking about Adore by the Smashing Pumpkins.
Okay,
Because they were
yeah.
just talking about how it just came out 23 years ago this
yep.
week.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an extremely pivotal album for me. But, and I said so, and somebody was like, it's trash, it's the worst. And they're like, you should really like this because this did blah blah blah. I'm like, well, I'm just different with it.
That's
you know?
what I like, man.
But I
That's
mean,
why art is art.
Yes,
it
exactly.
touches people in different ways.
Right.
It speaks to you in ways I never would have thought.
Right.
And I think that's now I want to go listen to it because I'm
Counting-
like, okay, why did it speak to
Right,
Dave like
yeah.
that?
Counting Crows is the first band I ever really liked.
Loved, yeah.
That I didn't think the singer was phenomenal.
Okay, well, that's important.
And that
Yeah,
was
I mean,
and
yeah.
that was always my driving force ever since I was a kid, was singing. And anybody
Right.
who listens to the podcast, they know that.
Right.
But to have him come along and not have that, glistening, amazing
yeah,
voice
yeah,
coming
right.
from heaven.
Yeah.
But
So you
still-
related to that then.
Yeah.
Like in a sense where you're like, well, I can do this because like this is something I can
Yeah.
attach to or I can feel through this. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, yes, we loved them so much. One of our first songs we ever wrote together was basically a Counting Crows ripoff. Lucy.
Mrs. Jones?
It was a song called Lucy, and it was
Yeah.
literally just a Counting Crows knockoff. It's
Yeah.
great. So, anyways, I know John's favorite fact, Anna Begins, his favorite
Oh,
track
yeah,
off that. One of his
definitely.
favorite songs ever. So,
Yeah.
all right, what's your number? Oh, wait, you
My
go
number
twi-
3. Yeah, I go twice.
Okay, what you got?
My number 3, on the flip side, I am going to go with the what I would probably deem the most angelic voice ever. We got to give some love to the ladies. Whitney Houston, her self-titled
Okay.
debut album.
Did not see that one coming. Couldn't
Me
tell you
neither.
much about the album. I wake up.
What was on there? What hits? were
Yeah,
on there?
what hits?
Greatest Love of All.
Want to dance with somebody?
Yeah, and How Will I Know?
Dude.
Oh, those are some good roller disco songs.
I wake up some mornings and I want to dance with somebody. It's in my head. Like I sing it in the morning getting ready. I don't know why. It's just stuck in my head. It's so weird. But yeah,
I just think her voice is the most. I don't think anybody's gonna come along with a better voice.
Probably not. I mean, she was up there. She's a game changer for sure. All right, well, Whitney Houston, Ender, you're up. Number 3 for you.
This
Ender.
is. I mean, I do agree with this kind of, but this is also for my wife.
Here we go.
Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell.
Okay, classic album. Classic album.
And actually, I don't disagree with this because you have to, if you consider everything that they went through to get that darn thing made.
Yeah,
they're not radio friendly songs. Jim Steinman is a brilliant songwriter. Was a brilliant songwriter. He passed last month, or in April, on my wife's birthday.
Oh, wow.
But no, that's such a great album, and I have fond memories of in the car when my daughter was more or less a newborn. We were driving up. She's like 5 months old. Driving up to New York.
Paradise by the Dashboard Lights?
No, but if we sang or played "Bat Out of Hell," she'd stop crying.
Wow. Okay.
That was her stop crying song.
There
we
you
could
go.
we could do it a cappella. We could play it on a thing. She'd stop.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Did you see her in the rearview mirror?
Could.
Was she closer than she?
Oh, here we go. It's the puns.
That's good job, Tico. But hey, listen, don't worry about it. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Okay, let's keep moving on. Yes,
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Obviously, class. Yes. Oh my God. All right, I'm gonna keep this train moving. All right, my number. So I'm gonna do my 3 and 4. I'm gonna round this out. I'm gonna go my number 3. One of my favorite artists. Saw him live at the Ryman. Loved him. But Elvis Costello. My Aim Is True. Absolutely love this album. It's got one of my favorite
Brilliant
songs.
songwriter as
Allison on there. Watching the Detectives. I'm Not Angry. I mean, it's great from start to finish. Is it my favorite album by him? No, but his first 3 albums are just perfection. And I could get into the trilogy albums, which I believe some artists have 3 albums in a row that are perfect. Like I said, Weezer, you could argue. I mean, Nirvana.
Or that stick to a certain rough, loose aesthetic.
Right. But even you could say Pumpkins have 3 perfect albums. I'd say 3 albums in a row. It doesn't have to be debut to that, but there's that. But anyways, Elvis Costello. My Aim Is True. I could listen to that all day long. And then my last one, I'm going to go with a little bit of something that I love the album. It's not one of my favorite albums, but it is something that must be discussed. And I got to go with Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction.
That was on my list.
Really?
I mean,
The
that
3 biggest, most iconic songs are on that album.
I mean, it's I didn't even like that kind of rock.
I was surprised that you put it on your list
But
just
my
because
God,
of that.
I could listen to Guns N' Roses I could listen to that album all day long. I mean, you had a collection of some of the greatest artists of their time, sloppy rock and roll. You had Slash, Axl. I mean, Axl's a genius. He's just insane, you know. I
Yep.
mean, and when anyone hears Appetite for Welcome to the Jungle, you start hearing that first, you're like, let's go, man. It's time to rock and roll.
It's a great song to listen to if you want to drive fast.
Yes, for sure. It's driving music for sure, but it's a band that was as good as they were ever going to get, man, because they made a perfect album. It was almost too good. So that's it. That's my last one, Guns N' Roses. So, Ender, you're up to your last one.
This is the coup de grace of Je ne sais quoi.
Here we go. Whatever he just said. Oui. Look at this.
Ender Bowen, Neon Apocalypse. my first. This is actually an original CD booklet from my first album in 2001. That dates me.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that will. But yeah, like this thing looks awful. Back when it was on mp3.com, which doesn't even really exist anymore.
Yes.
And God, yeah. So I'm gonna be celebrating 20 years of that in
crazy.
November.
Yeah.
That is
Wow.
nuts. Yeah.
There you go. So you did it. You did what few would do, but you listed yourself. And John still has room to list himself. We'll see if that happens or not. But
Why don't you list it? Did I steal one from you, Tico?
he's going to list Ender Bowen, Neon Apocalypse. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stole it
that's
from
one
you.
took me.
All right, John, wrap us up. What's your last one?
Songs
sir?
About Girls by
Songs
I'm
About
kidding.
Girls by Tokyo Pop Stars. Available on Apple Podcast today.
That's a really good set of tunes, though.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Dave took my number 4, so I am going to
Dun,
go
dun, dun, dun,
with
dun, 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 dun,
10 by Pearl Jam.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go with the Cars right there. You threw me off.
That I wanted to, but
It's a perfect album.
it's a great album. But there are 2 songs of the Cars that are like my heart and soul, and they're not on that album.
I got you.
And so I I don't know.
Pearl Jam 10. What do you love on the Pearl Jam 10? Now, I'm going to give you a little history. Me and Corey, I used to do a podcast with him, got into a huge argument about Pearl Jam 10. He said it was one of the 10 greatest albums ever made. And I went, you're a fool if you believe that. But it is a good album. I just don't think it's one of the 10 greatest albums ever made. And he recanted shortly after that. But anyway, but yes, what do you love about Pearl Jam 10?
Jeremy, Black, Even Flow.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a great freaking album. I'm not going to sit here and act. I mean, if there wasn't for Nirvana, that probably would have been the band I fell in love with. But for me, there was Nirvana. And, if Smells Like Teen Spirit was their debut album, it'd be my number one all day, but it wasn't. So, all right, well, I'm going to run over the list real quick, and then we can get into some ones we didn't get to list. John had Weezer Blue, Counting Crows, August and Everything After, Whitney Houston's self-titled album, and Pearl Jam 10. Ender had Oasis, Definitely Maybe, Killers, Hot Fuss, Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell, and Ender Bowen's Neon Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a Notorious B.I.G. Ready to Die, The Ramones, Elvis Costello, My Name is True, and Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. Now, some I didn't get to. I wanted to put Ben Folds, his debut album is great. It's called Ben Folds' Foo Fighters debut album.
Oh.
Foo Fighters is a great one.
yeah.
Kanye West, College Dropouts,
Yeah.
a great album. I had The Cars, Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks,
Yes.
and Beastie Boys' License to
I didn't even
Ill.
think of Sex
All
Pistols.
could have made my list. John, who did we miss on yours?
But,
Those are good
let's
choices.
see, Greetings from Asbury Park.
Okay.
Van Halen's
Yeah, I had that one. In my
Faith
mind.
by George Michael.
Okay.
Johnny Cash and his Hot and Blue Guitar.
Okay.
And She's So Unusual by Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, that was a bold move right there if you'd picked that one.
Yeah.
Any stick out, Ender, or did you pretty much nail all your?
I mean, there's Garbage's self-titled that was hugely influential.
Oh, that was a good one.
God, that is a good
I
one.
forgot all about that.
There's just great. That and version 2.0 are just money.
I saw the single Queer come out on 60 Minutes on MTV, and I was like, what the hell
what is that?
this? I'm in love with it.
And then when you add to the fact that Butch Vig is the guy in it,
Yeah.
it's like it blows your mind.
Oh.
I'm actually reading their autobiography right now, and it's
I bet.
pretty cool. Resident Alien by Space Hog.
Okay.
Smash by Offspring.
Oh, that's another good one. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good album.
There was one more I had in my head, not the Gary Newman one. There was one. It was an earlier one, like early '80s or something, and I can't remember what it was now.
Oh, there you
Might
go.
have been Duran Duran's first one.
Yeah, that's another good one. So,
Yeah.
The Clash is another good.
Yeah,
Clash.
Clash.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because the Clash's debut album is very punk rock, and then they kind of just veered away from that. Became actually a pretty decent band, I mean,
Yeah.
the Clash, and then Clash London Calling.
Yeah.
That's like a completely different
like-
band, but in a good
yeah.
way. I mean, yeah, I've got
London Calling is such
We
a
were
cool
actually
song.
talking about All American Rejects before the show.
it's another good one.
For the
So-
same reason.
So yeah, we had somebody in chat said Wu-Tang's 36 Chambers. That would have been a good guess as well. And everybody's saying you guys need to do a Tokyo Pop Stars reunion show. So
I would so go to that.
well, maybe one day we'll see. So that's our Mount Rushmore. Now, Ender, we have to we obviously have to give you time to plug yourself as we've come up to the end of the program.
Okie doke.
How can people digest your music? How can they follow you? How can just give everything out right now? Because now
My official website is enderbowen.com. My Facebook is Ender Bowen. My Instagram is ender.bowen. My Twitter is Ender Bowen. And you can also find some of these T-shirts I've been talking about and much more at enderbowenstore.com.
Now, and so we're looking at a soft release of the fall.
Yeah, so I mean, officially it's November 5th is when it's
Okay,
coming out.
all right.
But the first single is I'm gonna have 3 singles before it and a few after. The first single is going to be in August.
Okay.
I've got if you subscribe to my mail list, you get some free downloads, some exclusive content, and you get to be first in line to do. I'm going to be doing like this weird treasure hunt thing on my website, where essentially I'll say, check out this trailer, or here's the single. You get a little earlier before everyone else. And you go there, and if you happen to be clicking around, you might accidentally find yourself on another page with some clues to go to another page, and we'll see what you win if you get to the end. But every single's going to have one of those. I think the album's got one too. And I don't know, I just thought it would be kind of a fun way to reward people for just being involved and interacting. I like games too, and So I thought that would be kind of a fun thing to do.
Well, that's very cool.
So things start dropping from August and everything after.
Yeah, I mean they're already dropping now with teasers and trailers and stuff.
Subconsciously,
all right.
Counting Crows
there
fan.
we go. More puns.
Funny, I didn't catch that.
Well, yeah, I did. So I let it fly right over my head too. So yes, enderbowen.com is where you need to go. Sign up for that mailing list. Cool stuff coming your way. Follow him on social media. I mean, I think it would be remiss. We're into overtime right now, but we would have to talk about just real quickly how we met, how we know each other. If no one knows, we were in separate. Me and John were in a band. Ender was in a band with a lady named Michelle Ari. And we went on somehow I got in touch with Michelle Ari. Don't really remember how. We went on a epic road trip to North Carolina and played a show in North Carolina. Then came back to Dixon, Tennessee and played a show. And I think it bonded us for life.
Yeah.
Because Michelle Ari kind of went off the rails a little bit.
A little bit.
The trip went off the rails a little bit. We talked about it before. And because I reminded, because someone said, Tokyo Pop Star Reunion, that's mine and John's band. They said, good idea. Can you get the drummer there? And someone said, I'm sure maybe if someone gave her gas money. And real quick, the joke is Michelle Ari wanted me pretty much because I had the money, I guess. I was paying for gas for the whole trip.
You were the sugar daddy.
Yes, apparently. God. And my idea after that was to create a fake band called Gas Money, which I did create a MySpace page for.
I'd remember that.
I put a song up on there, and our idea was to prank her and play a show with her, but it never came to fruition, unfortunately. But I think it would have been fun. So
it would have.
So that's how we know Ender. But we're looking forward to these tracks. You've heard 3 of the tracks off the album. They're fantastic. Sign up for the mailing list where you can get more and just get ready for it. And it sounds great, man. It really
Thank
does.
you very much. I really appreciate
Looking
that.
forward to it. So, yes, well, that's the end of the show. Of course, we are Blame Your Brother, and you can go to our website, which is bybpod.com. You go there, check out all of our past episodes. There's some articles up there. If you want to buy merchandise, we got a store. We have an Amazon link where people are buying stuff on Amazon. Yeah, where's your album going to be for sale at?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Amazon,
Well, there you go.
iTunes, Spotify.
So if you want to buy his album on Amazon.
And signed ones, you can go to my website and I'll have signed ones.
Okay.
When they come out.
We're getting that for sure. Go to Amazon. Go to our website, bybpod.com. Click on the Amazon link. Buy his album when it comes out, and we all win. Everyone wins in the end. So, but yes, just tell all your friends about it. Tell everyone about Ender. Retweet. Share the love. Get out there. Be positive toward each other. And I guess with that being said, John, is there anything else?
Don't blame yourself when you can blame your brother.